We are in the front yard of the Daniel Boone Homestead main structure. The house is the keynote of the historic site. It is located in the lower section of the Oley Valley. It was the homestead of Squire and Sarah Boone from 1730 to 1750, and the Boones were Quakers. The Boones were instrumental in establishing one of the early Quaker meetings in this area of what was then Philadelphia County, and the Quaker meeting functions to this day. So it's an ongoing example of the diversity that existed and still exists in this part of Pennsylvania.
We have a diversity that would have rivaled Philadelphia in a rural county of Pennsylvania. And because you had all of these different groups from different countries, from different religions, living as neighbors to one another, there was a lot more communication, a lot more back and forth, a lot more adaptation of different cultural solutions happening here in the Oley Valley and southeastern Pennsylvania in general. Three such examples are the American long rifle, log cabins, and bank barns. The German long rifle is a German Jaeger rifle and an English musket combined, so the length of some English muskets, the German rifling, and that comes specifically because you have English and German gun makers who are in conversation with one another and are taking each other's technologies and reusing them in different ways. The log cabin most people think of as being out there in the middle of the Rockies on one of those hilltops in Colorado, but that construction actually starts here in Pennsylvania. The English had no history of log construction, but the people who did, Germans and Swedes from the mountainous regions, bring that technology here. It gets adapted and adopted by all of these other ethnic groups, and when they move south and west, that's when they take that with them. Bank barns, while there was a tradition of English bank barns in the Lake Districts as well as German ones from the Rhine area, those are another technology that is developed here and quickly adapted by all of the people living in this area.
By the late 1930s, there was a real movement to create historic sites across America and Pennsylvania. A lot of the historic sites were based on famous Americans, famous Pennsylvanians, and there's a real movement to honor Daniel Boone by creating a historic site here. In 1937, legislation was passed to have the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania acquire this site, and that happened in 1938. Almost immediately, the Commonwealth hired a very well-known restoration architect named G. Edwin Brumbaugh, who studied the building. In the late 1930s through the 1940s, Brumbaugh undertook a very careful restoration of this building and began developing other parts of the site. So in 1940, the Wayside Lodge camping building was designed by Brumbaugh and built on site. The dairy barn that was here was reduced to its earliest form, which may date from the Deturk occupation here, and restored. A blacksmith shop from Amityville was moved on site, and the site actually opened by the late 1940s, early 1950s as an historic site. In the 1960s, there was a further development of the site. Today, the site in fact encompasses over 579 acres to be exact. Further development occurred in the late 1960s, early 1970s. The Berthollet Log House was moved from Oley Township. Later in 1972, the Berthollet Sawmill was moved here also from Oley Township, and a number of other programs were expanded. And through the 1970s, 1980s, the site advanced to a major historic site.